Talk Story podcast. This is a impromptu podcast, to say the least. I actually thought, well, you can see the title of this one today is Prepared is better than underprepared. And the reason is because I thought I had an interview this morning at 7:40 a.m. for the Global Thought Leaders TV in Arizona. I am here in Hawaii, and anyway, I thought I had this interview. So I get up early, I get ready, and well, I log in, and you know how Zoom, it has the little time thing, and it says, this meeting is scheduled for February 24th. I'm like, what? And so I'm like, no, it's today. It's this morning, right? At 7:40. And I look and I even wrote it down in my planner. It says GTL TV interview 7:40 on the 24th. So I think I was thinking about it so much that I thought that it was today because it is Tuesday, right? Not this Tuesday, next Tuesday. So anyway, I was like, okay, over prepared is better than under prepared because now I can think about the things that I wanted to do, um, and I didn't have time to do it. Okay. So I was able to, yes, I do notes, especially if you if you're not a speaker, or if you are not, if you haven't done podcasting online, or if you haven't done anything like that, a lot of times you may get stuck. Sorry, I still have this cough. It is persistent. Sorry, my phone is buzzing. And anyway, you can put your notes right up on the screen because they can't see your screen. So, little tip, um, when you're actually speaking online, and if you feel nervous, I am going to grab a Halls here. Not a Halls, but Ricola, because if not, I'm just going to keep on doing this like through the whole time. It's just going to be ridiculous. Sorry if I'm going to be talking with something in my mouth, but it is the way it is. So, anyway, what was I saying? Yes, if you're online and you feel like, what if I don't know what to say, or I might forget what I'm supposed to say, put your notes on the screen. Because, like I said, they can't see you. They can't see that you have notes on the screen. So it'll be perfectly fine for you to have your notes on the screen. Just don't do like the obvious and be like reading it off to the side, or things like that. And you can test yourself as you go on, record yourself and practice your reading of the notes and see if you're actually looking to the side, or if it's obvious that you're looking to the side. And the one thing that people do a lot is that they watch themselves in your little screen. We watch ourselves talk, or we talk to ourselves in the screen. So, like, I can tell you right now that myself is, I'm on the screen, but I'm not watching myself. Okay, I'm on the screen. And I'll look at myself just to make sure that I'm not like making some weird face. Like that's when I put my Ricola in my mouth. But my picture is off to the side. If I was to constantly look at my face, I would be looking here. This is watching me talk. I'm looking at myself talk. But looking at myself talk, and I use Riverside, I can literally tell that everyone else will see me not looking at the camera because on the screen here, I don't look like I'm looking at the camera. I look like I'm looking down here. So I don't watch myself because it reminds me when I look at myself and I see myself looking down, it reminds me everyone else sees me looking down also. So that's another hint. Hints and tips today, guys. Over prepared is better than being under prepared. And if you're joining me here on Riverside, drop it in the comments. Say hello. Tell me where you're coming in from. So, other things that I was able to figure out being that I really don't have my interview today. I did pull up notes. I did make it, large enough for me to see it without it looking like I'm actually reading notes. And I can sit back here, I can glance over, and I can still see my notes without it looking like I'm reading any notes, right? So if I was to start my questions that they asked me, you get a little glimpse of what it is. So they're going to ask me questions, I'm going to answer, and I'll be like, they're going to talk about my book. And this is the book that I won the International Impact Book Award for. So they're going to talk about this book. And the other books that I have published. They're not going to talk about that, but this is another book that I published, 31 Steps to Mastery. They are going to bring up because they asked me the questions. I wrote the answers, so I know what project or whatever things that I was in or whatever, right? I don't give you guys the whole thing. You can watch it when I do it. But anyway, Voices of Aloha. If you guys have been on my Facebook, you guys, or any of my social media, you already know that recently I have published 2 more books with a group of amazing authors. So, anthologies, a collaborative work of authors, and under my publishing, Blessed to be a Blessing Worldwide Publishing, they were able to publish their stories. I edit, I compile it, and I publish it. And it just released this week. I think maybe that's why I was so excited to do the interview because it would have been just so brand new that the books came out. I think it was just my mind. But maybe it'll be better because then I can talk more about it and it being out. And maybe I could get some reviews that I could talk about. Anyway, no, it's too long. Never mind. Just thinking out loud. The interview is not going to go like 30 minutes. You know what I mean? It's not going to be that long. Anyway, so they're going to talk about that and they're going to bring up the new books that's going to come up, and I'm just going to tell them a little bit about it and the Voices of Aloha movement. things like that. So, hint, right? Everything, the notes are up. I'm looking at the camera. I'm not watching myself over there. And they ask the questions, and I say, Walking in Aloha's 5 Steps to Living Your God Potential Life is a book that changed my life. It's built around 5 principles, or 5 pillars, as I call them. ALOHA: affirmations and actions, leadership and love, overcoming obstacles, health and healing, and acute awareness. They form Aloha, like I said, ALOHA, not just a greeting, but as a way of living fully aligned with who God created you to be. That's my notes. It's right there. But I glance over, I look at the camera, I keep track of where my notes are. But see, I'm giving you guys hints and tips because as a speaker, as a writer, as a podcaster, I want everybody to have that same level of help and encouragement to do what I do and not feel like, this is way too much. I can't do this. You can. And if someone helped me out the way that I want to help other people out, if somebody did it for me and said, it is a lot easier than you think, there's just somebody that needs to explain it to you in the way that it is a lot easier than you think. Sometimes people make it out to be so hard. I don't know why. Okay, I don't know why they want to do that. Maybe sometimes it is to sell you something. They want to give you this long list of stuff like, oh, this is what you gotta do, because they want to sell you something. I don't know. I know that I can help people out. I can coach people and I can train up people to do the things that I do and not charge them an arm and leg. I had to pay a lot for a lot of things that I did, but I know that there has been people there to help me out because I have ran into some hard times. I have ran into some things. I'm TSA, Homeland Security, government shutdowns. That is me. And when I got stuck, there's people out there who helped me out when I couldn't make that payment, when I couldn't. I I mean, I've already done the training. They've already been there for me. And I'm like, I'm so sorry. I can't. I can't make the payment, right? They're like, don't worry. Let us know when you can. It'll be fine. And by seeing people who are way ahead of me, way ahead of me, who has the means to do that for someone, right? I'm like, I can do the same for someone else. I can help out that person, help out that next person. No, no, I am not where they are. No, I do not have the backup or the income that they have. I don't. I still work TSA, you know, but God is good. God is good. And He is my provider. And He will sustain me through whatever I go through and whatever the things that happen. So if I can help people out and if I can make a bit of income along the way, you know, and throw this away, or I'll forget my rubbish over here, without help, if I could help people out without having them to weight and having them to get up to that level where they have to pay this amount, but yet still get the information that they need to get here, to get there, right? I want to try to do that because it took a lot from me to even start with the training that I got. It took me a lot to even start to get to like any of that level of how do you how do you do that, right? I don't have thousands of dollars just tucked away. I don't have credit cards that I can put anything on at the at just a thought of like, oh, yeah, it's a good idea. You know, sounds great. Let me put this on this credit card. I don't have that. So yeah, it took a lot. The amounts of money that I put into things. So when I can do that and when I have the means to do that because of my life, I thank God for that. But I know that there's people out there that can't do it. And so that's why I want to be able to help others and I want to be able to help them and not have them wait. Because I know now, as I do my podcast and as I speak to people all over the world, like literally all over the world, I have spoken to people and I've shared stories, shared space with people in Egypt and Africa and Spain and um, China or in the United States, different places in the United States. Canada. Yes, Canada. So it is amazing what God can do. And I thank God for where He placed me. But now I can see that there's other people out there who are so talented. And I know that if they could just get help, they could possibly exceed where I am now. They could possibly get to where I am quicker than me because I can help them, you know? And I don't want to be like, "Oh, why would I want that?" You know? I would want that because you never know when your time is up. You never know when God is going to call you home. And if you're thinking that I'm going to wait till later, I'm going to wait, until I am at this place before I help the next person, what if you don't make it till then? And all this time along the line, you could have been helping other people, but yet you were thinking that I'm not going to do all of this until I get here. You missed all of those times. You missed all of those people that you could have helped, that you could have started off. They could have been running the race with you. Yeah, they could have been like running ahead of you because they're stronger or they're, you know, actually better. Yes, because like my leg, I can't run. I was just talking about race. You know what I mean? Anyway, you get my analogy. You could help people start in a place where, yes, they may excel way quicker than you. They may get ahead of you. So what? But if you start them off, great. You did your part. You did your part. Maybe that's what you were here for. Maybe that's why God placed you on this beautiful earth to do that part for them. So that's what I want to do. Because you never know. You never know when it's your time to be called home, and you waited. And all of those people that you could have helped along the line got missed because you were waiting for something. You were waiting until you were at a certain level before you help them along. All you have to be is one step ahead of someone else in order to help them. That's all you need to be, is one step. If you knew one thing more than the next, you could help them. If you were walking along and then you tripped over something, right? And you turned around and you saw a bunch of people coming by, you could turn around and say, be careful, there is this here. I tripped over it. Now you won't, because I can tell you that there is this here. And they can go around it, step over it, whatever, whatever. And as you're telling them to be careful, this person steps over it and gets ahead of you. This person goes around it and gets ahead of you because you still see other people coming. And you're like, oh, go ahead, go ahead. No, come. Be careful. Step over this because I tripped. And you continue that. What's wrong with that? You see what I'm saying? All you're doing is helping the next person out. It doesn't matter where they get, you're doing your part. And then you carry along and you do your thing and you do yours. So, yes, I was prepared to do my interview this morning, which was not this morning. It's actually next week. I hope I don't have anything else next week because I just be messed up. Mhm. I do have a few things next week, but it's not going to run into the 7 o'clock in the morning thing. 7:40. And another thing that I figured out. You see my lovely background? Beautiful, right? I live in Hawaii, my backyard. This is my back. No, it's not my backyard. Truly, in Hawaii, we are very close to the ocean, but I am not this close to the ocean. That is not my background. It is a TV. That's the TV. Um, Lisa Nichols. I get to call her now my friend and my mentor. She is an amazing, amazing person. And I was blessed to be a part of Tent City in San Diego, California, and attend her When My Soul Speaks retreat. And anyway, I've been, um, how do you say, training under her or learning under her? Whatever it is. I don't know the word. She has been my mentor for a while. And, oh, Nancy messaged me. Let's see. Sorry, work late last night. Didn't get canceled. Oh, so I have a doctor's appointment. Sorry, I'm going to change subject. I had a doctor's appointment. I had to cancel one of my podcasts. And since I'm up early and I'm here, I offered her to come in and do hers early because I was able to. I wasn't able to do her podcast But since I'm here and I would actually have the time before my doctor's appointment, before I have to leave, I thought maybe we could meet. But no, she actually scheduled a couple of clients, so she's not able to do that. But I'll let her know that um, I can actually send her a reschedule link for her to reschedule. Anyway, I forgot what I was saying. See, I should not get so distracted. What was I saying? Oh, was I talking about the TV? Yes, I was. Lisa Nichols, because she's amazing. Lisa Nichols. Okay, so as I'm training under Lisa Nichols, okay, I noticed that she has a TV in her background. And it's always so cool, right? It's always so nice. And I love the fact that she is not using one of those virtual backgrounds. Okay, the virtual backgrounds, the one that if you hold something up, they disappear, right? You know what I mean? And you have to be like, hold on. Do you see it? Do you see it? I'm so I'm not kidding. I'm not kidding. Anyway, and she's able to lean back, she's able to lean forward, she's able to move without things disappearing because her background is not virtual. It is literally a television screen. It's a TV screen. So, what do? I follow my mentors. I learn from the best. See, this is a TV. Can you tell? Anyway, I bought a TV screen. A TV. A big a big screen TV. It's a big screen TV. And actually it was a bit bigger than I thought it was. But I really like it. And I'm able to do this. Tips and tricks, guys. Tips and tricks. Why not give it away? So this is a TV. And I was able, because I was noticing that it was so bright when I was on. It was so bright in the background. Sometimes you couldn't even tell what was on the screen. And while I was getting, see, look, proves that it is a TV because see, video will, let me watch. Did you see the words? Told you it is truly a screen. It's not my background. In Hawaii, we do live close to the beach, but I do not live this close to the beach. But now it looks like it does, right? It looks great. And anyway, um, I can just let it play in the background and this is music. Ah, lovely, right? That's part of the TV. Wonderful. So, anywho, I figured it out because over prepared is better than under prepared to actually darken my screen because it was so bright that it was just like this big shiny glare in the back of me. And so I darkened the screen, I turned down the brightness, and I think it was a calibrate to, yeah, I calibrated it also. And so, yeah, the background is a bit darker, so it might be dark to watch it, but it's perfect for this because now look at the way that it looks. Wonderful. So wonderful. So, yeah, if it was even bigger and it filled my entire background, you wouldn't even know. You wouldn't see any of the other stuff, but it's okay because see my bookshelf and my awards, they're in my screen also, which I don't mind. Over prepared is better than under prepared. And I just wanted to come in and share that with you all. And like you can tell, I am looking at my screen right now because I am analyzing my screen. I am looking at what's in my frame and what, yeah, like how far everything goes on Riverside, right? The frame on Zoom, I think it is a little smaller, but and then I can adjust, right? I can adjust things like, hey, why are these fans on all of my fans? Maybe I don't want that over there. And I adjust according to the screen. Oh, look at me. See, and I adjust according to what's on this actual screen because that is what I'm using, right? I'm using the screen. And I need people to see what's on the screen, not so in order to make it look more natural, see how that looks like it's um on the forefront of um the furniture and the ocean, and it makes it look more realistic, like it's actually in front of the ocean. It's actually in front of the TV. Okay, so things like that, you could do a little bit of that. See? And then like I noticed this in the black. Maybe I don't like that. Maybe I don't like it. Maybe I want to put a white because that stands out better. Things like that, guys. Just thinking about that and doing a bit of rearranging because over prepared is better than under prepared. See the way my awards are. Scoots, scootsies, scootsies. How about that, right? Moving it down more. That's my awards, my speaker awards, my speaker award. Ding. And then my International Impact Book Awards award. This one. It's heavy. So yeah, just like that. Everything in the screen, and it is real. It is real life. Where it's not virtual and I don't have to worry about things disappearing. So, as I said, I figured out the background, I figured out the screening, the screen, the lighting for the screen. And now things look a lot better. Yeah. Some people talk about a clean background, not having all this, like color and motion and this and that. Sorry, but I live in Hawaii and color is my thing. It's just gonna have to happen. So anyway, all right. I'm gonna let you guys all go. Thank you for joining me here. Over prepared is better than under prepared. And if you want to join me and we can do a one-on-one coaching and I can help you through a lot of the things that people think is way too hard and they can't get through. Let me tell you, I thought the same thing. And now I'm a speaker, I'm a writer, I'm a podcast host, and I publish, self publish books. I help other people become authors. I help them edit their books and I help them publish their books. So if I can do all of that, and I want to tell you, no, you do not need all this credentials to do all of that. What you need is a will to do it. You can do anything you want. I homeschooled my kids. I homeschooled my kids. And as we were homeschooling, I learned that there's a lot of people out in the world that has done a lot of great and amazing things before they were what um like there's no written thing, there's no documentation or anything saying that here you go, now you can, here you go, now you can do this, here you go, now you can be a podcaster. No, nothing like that. Here you go, now you can be a publisher. Here you go, now you can be an author. Here, you took all these classes, you took all of this stuff, you went to all of these classes, you went to all of these things, you paid all of this money. Now you can. No, it's not like that. When my daughter was younger, she started reading. Okay. You teach reading. Well, I did. When I taught reading, um, I taught I taught my kids reading phonetics, phonetically, right? Each letter has a sound. Putting the sounds together makes words. I don't know how to explain it. See what I mean? Anyway, my daughter picked up reading very quickly and she started reading whatever she wanted to read because she could. Words are words, no matter what you put it on, no matter the length of a book, the words are still words, right? It, a word is a word. I always equated it to swimming. Anything you do, it's like swimming. Once you know how to swim, it doesn't matter if you're swimming in a pool, in a lake, in the ocean, you still swim. It doesn't matter the depth or the width of the water, you still swim the same way. When she read the same way. So it didn't matter what was put in front of her. She could read it. She could read it. So she was allowed to read whatever she wanted to. Of course, I made sure that she read the appropriate things, yes. But I didn't stop her from reading things that was not her age. You see what I mean? So being that she could read things that was above her age, of course, she's going to learn things that is above her age. And that meant being advanced. And that's just the way that my kids were. They just would read, do whatever. As you homeschool, you are able to do that, and you are able to allow that for your children. And so it doesn't matter. You don't need somebody to tell you that here, this is what you hear. Now that you have this paper that says you succeeded in all these hours of training, now you can do this. That's not the way it works. We were made to believe that so that we could get stuck in schools for hours and hours. I don't know why. Okay, I don't know why. But that is not the truth. That is not the truth. That is not how it works. Your experience, your level of knowledge is what can get you places and get you into the things that other people don't think that is possible. How did I publish a book? I learned how to publish a book. I asked the questions. When I first wrote this one, I didn't know how to write a book. Well, when I first wrote Walking in Aloha, I I knew that I was a writer. I love to write. That part I did. But how do I put it in a book? I asked questions. This one, I paid for somebody to help me publish this book. I thank God that Westpole Press came up, and they literally called me and said, um, "Are you ready to publish your book?" And so they helped me. And Westpole Press is a division of Zondervan and Thomas Nelson. So I know that they are huge in the Christian book publishing market because I worked at a Christian bookstore. So when I heard Zondervan and Thomas Nelson, I wanted to be a part of that. So when I look into this book and I see Westpole Press, a division of Thomas Nelson and Zondervan, and I know that I am with them, to me, that speaks volumes. Nobody else needs to know that. Nobody, to me, that is big for me. When people heard about what I paid for this book, they were like, "Oh, I would never be able to publish a book. I could never do that. That is just way too much for me." Right? And I think it was almost 10,000, I think, maybe something like that in total with the marketing and all. Um, then I said, "How do you self-publish a book?" Then I've heard that. So I learned how to self-publish. I learned how to self-publish. I looked at what was already in this book. I did the page, what makes it legal and marketable, whatever that is, right? This whole copyright page. I used what was in my first book because you learn, right? And this is when I first published under Blessed to Be a Blessing Worldwide Publishing. And that was 2024. So in 2024, Blessed to Be a Blessing Worldwide Publishing became a thing to me. And I thought, that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be able to publish books for myself under my own publishing. And I thought, no, I didn't think. I promised God that I would write a book every year. I would publish. That was the word. I will publish something every year. Okay, that's what the promise was. And in 2025, I was traveling, I was all over, I was doing all kinds of things. I wasn't focused on writing. And as the year came to an end, I was like, I still have time. I can write something and I'll get it done. And I was having a hard time. The title, Voices of Aloha, came to me, and I was trying to write something, Voices of Aloha, about how my voice is now reaching the world and how I went from being silenced to now speaking up and speaking, on international stages and all of this stuff. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And as I was writing, it just wasn't sounding like something I would want to publish. It was just sounding like braggadocious or something. I don't know. It just sounded like I was just talking about so much of myself. I was like, it would be great as a speech or whatever, but it just did not sound like a book, if you know what I mean. So I was having a hard time. And I was worried that I wasn't going to publish anything in 2025, which would feel to me like I failed God. My pastor uh, texted me and asked if I would help write a book with the church. And at this time, I was in Alaska, and I was like, "Yeah, I can do that. I can help, but I'm traveling right now. I'll be back. I think I told her I'll be back on Sunday or something like that." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, "When do you need it?" I said, I'll be back on Sunday. When do you need it?" And she goes, "Oh, well, a week." Right? A week or something. A week from Sunday or something. I was like, "What?" And I said, um, "Okay, but like I was thinking, what do you need?" And what they needed was one chapter. And I thought, "Oh, okay, I could do a chapter in a week. I'm pretty sure if I knew what I was writing about, I can do that. I can do that." And so anyway, I helped Inspire Church with Reach People. And I wrote chapter 1, Life Transformed. And I was like thinking that I wasn't going to publish anything in 2025. October 14, 2025. So 2023, 2024, and 2025. Even though like my name is not on here, there's nothing that says I wrote it. There's nothing, absolutely nothing that tells anyone that I was a part of this at all. I know, God knows, and it's enough, right? So I do that. And then I thank God, you know, things may not look the way that I planned it or whatever, but in God's wonderful, amazing ways, my promise to him was kept. And that was good enough, right? That is the way that it goes. That is the blessing that he gave me. And I was like so happy, so satisfied, so good at I'm like, I am good with that. But Voices of Aloha, I'm still thinking Voices of Aloha was still supposed to be written, right? Because God doesn't give me something and it sticks so hard and it's something that just is for nothing. And I prayed and I asked God, why am I having such a hard time writing Voices of Aloha? And he said, voices. And as I was writing it, I was like, voices. And I was repeating it. I was like, oh. And then I heard God speak in his soft whisper ways that I hear him. He says, I need a choir for this one. I'm like, a choir of voices. It's not me. It's not just me who's writing this book. It's a choir of people. So I shared that with others, and that is where the Voices of Aloha movement came from. And that is where people came out to share their stories. Trusted me enough to share their stories and put it in the book. So Voices of Aloha, Daughters of the King, a choir of hope. And Voices of Aloha, Mighty Men of God, also a choir of hope. I mean, I could have put a men's choir, a women's choir. No, we didn't have to do that. It's a choir of hope. It was published 2026. And the one thing I was having a hard time, women came forward a lot quicker. The book filled. And with me writing one, there was 7. So including me, there was 7 in the women's. And in the men, there was finally 5. And I was like, oh, do I wait? Do I wait till there's 7 and 7? What do I do? And I knew the one thing that um at first I was thinking that the books were going to be done by the end of the year or the first of the year and all of the things like that. And then I was like, no, it's going to be released Valentine's. They're going to be together on Valentine's. And I was like, how do I get 2 books out by Valentine's? But I trust God. And anytime that kind of thing happens, when he tells me it's going to be done this way, and I'm like, how do I do that? How does anybody do that? And I always do this thing, and I always say, but I'm just one person, like that. I'm just one person. How am I supposed to do this? I'm just one person. God is always so good, and he allowed me to do it. I've published both books, 5 men in Mighty Men of God, and there's 7 of us, 6 women and 1 including me, so there's 7 in Daughters of the King, and they're both out right now, and they were both together on Valentine's. So I tell you, anything is possible with God. When you give him your little, he can do so, so much. So, like I said, if you had something in you, anything creative, we were created by the Creator to be creatives. There is something in you that needs to come out. Let me know. Just message me, drop it in the chat. Do whatever you need to do to get a hold of me on Facebook, whatever, or email me at MAGEK.Blessings@gmail.com. Magic is my initials. It is my initials. MAGEK, Michelle and Gloria Ebalaroza-Kawano. MAGEK, Magic. So go ahead and email me, magic.blessings@gmail.com, or reach out to me on Facebook or any of the social medias where you see me, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, wherever. Let's talk story. And I can help you to get that creative part of you out and into the world. Because when God gave you your talent, it was not meant to stay buried, and it wasn't just meant for you. So until next time, I know this was a long one, but until next time, thank you for joining me here at the Walking in Aloha Let's Talk Story podcast. Have a blessed day. Ahuiho.